different spot today. I'm home, and I have decided that based on the way I've been nudged and the way I've been feeling, and some people have even reached out to me to say that, they're enjoying the series. It's a lot of truth. And so I prayed about it because I didn't think that I had to keep going, aside from the 10 put on, put off examples that I shared with you all. But there's more to share. So we're going to continue. This is going to be the part 2. And I pray that it reaches just as many people that the first part reached, because this is important. And, when something is put on your spirit to share, you have to share it, even if people are going to persecute you for sharing it, And so what happens is people make assumptions sometimes. When different people share different things, they always have to judge, form opinions, assume that, maybe you're not doing what you share and stuff like that. This is just a part of being in the flesh, is that we are prone to sin. It's a sinful nature that humans have. So we are going to continue this, this series. It's important. So I have a few scriptures here as always, and then I'm going to just let the Ruach HaKodesh speak as he's needed to speak through me. And I just pray that many people receive this message and all the other ones that are going to come. All right, family. So today we are going to be putting off making assumptions. All right. We have to put off making assumptions. Okay, family. So first things first, we're going to go into 1 Corinthians. Let me see. 1 Corinthians. And we have here chapter 4, verse number 5. All right. First one, we're checking off the list, and let us read it. It says, therefore, judge nothing before the appointed time. Wait until Yahuwah comes. He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of the heart. At that time, each will receive their praise from Yahuwah, our Eluah. Okay, family? So reading this, we need to understand that making assumptions or presumptions that lead to making a judgment against someone or against some other thing, whether it's worldly, amongst each other, when we do those things, they become foolish because we are not truly able to know what's within a person's heart or what's behind an action that they do. So we all have to make sure that we are waiting for Yahuwah to expose the hidden parts that he is only able to see. Because when we assume, making an assumption consists of also thinking that the outcome or what is within someone or the substance of something. And when we are wrong, we're foolish. I think when I was in high school, there was like, when you assume, you make a you know what out of you and me, which it spells the word assume. So we have to understand that even though we don't use that term, but the scriptures also correspond with that term. So it's best to just, like I always say, be quiet and don't think you know things, because then you're like playing like you are Yahuwah, and only Yahuwah knows things. Only thing he tells us to do is to know people by their fruits, right? So we know what the fruits of the Ruach HaKodesh are, and we know what the scriptures say about how we are supposed to be with other people when they come to us for either questions to be taught, for advice, for, help, all these things. We know how we're supposed to be. But when people do that and we're not doing what the word tells us to, then you're also going against the written word. So we have to just be mindful of making sure that we don't only assume, but we also go against what the word says to do, just because we think that person or that situation means or is something when it's not. Okay. And so it's always best to I think like finish allow the person to explain or to share the whole thing, the whole scenario before we assume, right? 9 times out of 10, we can infer things based on past experience. But Yahuwah tests us in many ways. So when you never know when he's going to, like when something's a test and you might be wrong after you assume. Remember this story? I don't know if it's a story, a fable, whatever they call it. And it was the boy that cried wolf. And this boy, he would always cry wolf. And so he was always doing it out of like a prank, right? There wasn't really a wolf, but he would cry, oh, wolf, a wolf. And then, so what ended up happening is the people said, oh, nope, he's just playing around. He does this all the time. And then what ended up happening is the wolf did come that one time and no one believed, because all the other times it wasn't what they expected and they wasn't going to fall for it that time. So we have to also apply, even though these might be stories, they teach a lesson. And so all of these things, whether they're in the world and the scriptures and scrolls, whatever it is, you take what is important and the wisdom from them, and then you use those things. That's food for thought, food for your life. And then whatever does not resonate or apply to you, then you have to leave those things behind. So many of us, we have to just remember that us making assumptions is not good. That is not what we as children of Yahuwah should be doing. All right, family. So I do want to look up the definition of assumption, only because whoever's watching, sometimes there's language barriers, but also reading the definitions brings it back into remembrance. These are things we have learned when we were learning English, right? So we use it loosely, but then go back into what these words mean. Even if you want to go into what the Hebrew term for them are, you might even get a deeper revelation of its importance. So when we're looking at assumptions, it's a thing that is accepted as true or as certain to happen without proof. So you guys that make assumptions, even some of us, we might make it based on, this is a general topic, so I'm just trying to use different examples so that you guys can understand. So for someone that makes an assumption like that boy that cried wolf, and the people assume that he didn't cry, but they did, even with your own children. They might try to prank you or say something happened and you don't run to see what happened, and then they might end up being right. When it comes to some of us are assuming or judging situations that we read, that we hear, that we see, but you have no proof. There's no proof for what the assumption would, you would have to have proof for it to be a righteous, for a righteous judgment to be made, because we're allowed to righteously judge. So I think what it is Yahuwah is grieved when he sees people do this all the time, just like with the camps, right? And there's a lot of my people that they don't want to accept other nations because they assume that other nations are like what our oppressors have done. Not everybody is rich. Not everybody is these elite people and doing these malicious things. But we associate their wickedness because they're mostly white. Let's just face it. So we're going to be going into that too, because there's a lot of bywords and loose words out there you guys are using, and we have to be mindful of that. Told you we have to speak life, and we're going to be accountable for the things we call people and assume people are. All right. So this is going to sting. And so it is what it is. The truth has to be said. Coming into the truth, what bothers me is when we assume or make assumptions that pale-skinned or white-skinned people or straight-haired people are all bad. Because if the truth be told, there's a lot of my own people that don't have those features, but that has the opposite. They can be bad too. And so we have to understand that sin has to do with a spirit. It has nothing to do with your outwardly appearance. It has nothing to do with where you were born, what food you eat. Sin is sin. And it is the skin without the color. It is just being in this is your being in the flesh. The spirit, your spirit, whatever is attached to your spirit that is keeping you further from Yahuwah is what the sin is. Whether it's lust, lying, making assumptions, hatred, covetousness, hypocrisy, whatever it is, that is what sin is. We have to unlearn the color thing, and we have to start thinking about that, because there's a lot of people that are going to be sadly mistaken when some of these truths do come out at the appointed time, like what 1 Corinthians 4:5 tells us. And this is why I'm sharing these things. It is not to hurt anyone. It is not to think that these things don't apply to me, but I'm sharing it because I was gifted as someone that was able to share messages and teach. Once I realized that, wow, even though I was always awkward, always shy, never really liked to be someone that had like a spokesperson type of assignment. And even in the world, I was never like that. But when he put it on my spirit to make this channel and to start sharing the wisdom he's been giving me for years now, family, and then when I saw that I was able to plant seeds even in my own husband, who came from a different background than I have. I come from Baptist background. He came from Jehovah's Witness. It was really tough, but I was able to be used by the Ruach HaKodesh. And now these people serve Yahuwah. My grandmother just texted me the other day and told me that she finally accepts the name. And she sees what I'm talking about. And so all those prayers that I've prayed and those nights that I spend crying when people don't even know what you're doing in private, I'm interceding. And so it hurts me, all the hurt that I've experienced, even being in this truth. It was never like what I expected. This is it's rough than sometimes even when I was a Christian. There's nothing different. It's just a different title. So family, this is to edify us and to help us to examine all of ourselves. When I teach, I clearly have to meditate on what I'm teaching, and I have to make sure that I understand what I'm teaching. This is not just something that I'm just looking up and writing it down. I spend time in the Word. Just like I spend time with my children teaching them the Word too. Whatever is good for me is good for everyone. Okay? We are one body in Mashiach. So without proof, but accepting something as true or going into agreement with what you think about something, that is what making an assumption is, and it's foolish. And here's the kicker. The second definition is the action of taking on power or responsibility. We have authority to Mashiach to do all things through him, right? We have that strength. But he doesn't say to make assumptions against your brethren. He doesn't say to judge them. This is why we need to know the balance in our boundaries, because a lot of us, we look self-righteous in our own eyes, but there are things that is not self-righteous. And then we judge people that share messages like this. But if this doesn't get shared, then how are we going to remember these things? So we have to stop hurting people that do the will of the Father that you say you serve and love. But then you hurt the people that he sends to do things. We can't have it both ways. We have to stop, family. There are so many people. I've seen Gentile people teaching and stuff. And I know that we the ones that should be teaching. I've gotten so many different, opinions and stuff. And at this point, it's like, Yahuwah said that his word will have to be spread across the four corners for him to come back. We all claiming redemption is nigh. We want him to come back. Yahuwah, please save us. Right? I can't wait for you to come take me out of this land of captivity. But when he's sending people to do what he wants them to do, then we have all types of murmurings and complainings. And that's hypocrisy. And this is exactly what brings his wrath. This is what has brought his wrath back then too. There's nothing new under the sun. Until we start really meditating on what happened, what went wrong, and literally changing that into doing right, we're constantly going to be in this battle, this spiritual warfare. And a lot of it is our own flesh. And that's why I tell people all the time, we keep giving so much credit to the demons, the enemies and all this, but they're not even here. We don't see them. We keep saying, oh yeah, spiritual warfare, it's your flesh. You're not changing your thoughts. You're not changing what's in your heart. You're doing all the things Yahuwah hates. So we have to stop. We have to stop making assumptions. You don't know what's behind anyone's intentions ever. Especially when the people be helping you, whether it's financially, spiritually, praying for you, line up and work out, for you, your breakthroughs. Then you got them teaching and planting seeds of hope and righteousness all through the word, which is the truth. It's not our word. This is Yahuwah's word. And so people get upset. It's like there's no win. It's very frustrating. And I sometimes can see how Jeremiah felt, always crying. I mean, I do that too. I just don't do it on camera all the time. Sometimes I can't fight them back. And Yahuwah collects these tears in a bottle. He collects them. I'm spiritually speaking. He collects and he has record of all the tears we have cried. And he's not going to take things lightly. He doesn't want this. He said that we should love each other. There's no love. This is not love, because Yahushua HaMashiach didn't even make people cry. He rebuked people, wrong, evil people, but he didn't make people cry, especially people that was following him, people that followed the truth. He didn't make them cry. He taught them, and he had all the fruits of the Ruach. He didn't do things discreetly, right? He came directly to Peter and told Peter, you are going to deny me 3 times. He went directly to people and told them about themselves. But we out here, we do things this way. And then you got people be thinking that, they feel conviction, and it's not even about them. It's generalized. And so we have to stop, family. You have to stop. Because this is what leads people astray, and it really disrupts the body in total, and the true enemy, even though he didn't do nothing, he's sitting back. He like, wow, I don't even got to do nothing. They destroying themselves. So now we're going to be going into Matthew 7. Let me go back over here. This is what it's like. I knew this would be this way. And this is why I always pray before I share videos. And, I always ask him to confirm, you sure you want me to say this? Because he knows in real life, the Most High knows I am very sensitive. And I'm I'm a sensitive person. I cry over anything. There's cartoons I watch with the kids and I cry. I know it's not real, but it's just, I'm very sensitive. And that's how I am. And I'm not going to be something that I'm not just to make people happy. So we have to just be mindful of how we're making people feel. And, everything has to be done in love and honesty. Okay, family? Let's look at Matthew 7, verse 1-5. Okay. I love Matthew 7. If you haven't noticed by now, Matthew was one of my favorite books I used to binge read. All right. So it says, do not judge, or you will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the same measure you use, it will be measured against you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Whew, I love his wisdom. He says, how can you say to your brother, let me take that speck out of your eye, when all that time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, he said. First, take the plank out of your own eye. Then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. So in other words, people will judge you over something so little. They'll make an assumption over something so tiny. And then ends up the whole time, they are far from perfect. Not even you know what I'm saying? You have to start looking at yourself in the mirror. Look at that man or woman in the mirror before you go and start making assumptions about other people. And see, that's why a lot of the times I have to remove myself from certain people or places, because there is so much hypocrisy. It makes me cry. And then we are supposed to, in this truth, he didn't promise it to be always perfect and rainbows and butterflies. Absolutely not. We know it's going to be a struggle. He says that this is going to be sorrowful. But we have to understand that You can't grow when you are in places that make you feel stagnant or places that make you walk on eggshells. If you feel those things and there's knots twisting in your stomach and you hear the Most High and you're serving man and you're trying to be loyal to man and not to the Father, Yahuwah, then we're going to hurt ourselves. So we have to make sure that we look at ourselves before we start judging others. The only thing we can do is when somebody is not doing something right, we can tell them. If you have the title of calling them brother or sister, then you should be able to go to your brother or sister. Whichever delivery method possible, you go directly to them. Because when you don't, then it gets messy. But when you are gifted to teach, when you are gifted to minister or to pastor, you are to do those things that he gave you to do. And we know that those things are on, it's a more broad thing because you are trying to reach the body of Mashiach, not just one specific person. And so this is why when you see other channels, family, that are teaching messages, you can't assume that they're targeting you unless you have some spirit of offense that you have to take off. You have to put these things off. And so that's another thing. Let me write that down because I do not believe that we did that. But if we did, I won't do it again. There's a few things we have to do. Yeah, I'm being inspired. Thank you, Ruach HaKodesh. For those that don't know what Ruach HaKodesh is, the set apart spirit. So that was the second verse. And now let's look at John 7:24. And John 7:24 says, stop judging by mere appearances, but instead judge correctly. Now, I have never done this. I don't really be around people to be paying attention to what people are wearing and how they're dressing. But family, other people are, right? Out there, they're working, they're in the workplace or whatever people do when they're out and about. Don't go out with the intention of looking at someone's outfits and judging and then doing that. We can't do this. There are ways that we can do things. We can go up to people and we can give a verse. I've always said this. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to find the video of where I used to do it. I go to the Dollar Tree and they have these blank cards with really nice covers. Sometimes it's plants, flowers. Sometimes it might say something like hi or something like that. And so inside you write a scripture or you can write some type of quote that's related to a scripture, whatever you want to do, and then you seal it and you just plant it, put it in people's mailboxes or have them in your bag so that when you're out and you want to plant a seed with people, you can plant a seed that way. Okay. And Yahuwah willing, they will open it and they will receive the message. So if it's like women that you want to target to maybe help them to understand that they should dress more modestly, maybe cover their hair. Maybe recently I did a video on why we shouldn't wear certain clothing that has polyester, spandex, and nylon in it because it's not good for us. Maybe if you plant that seed, then they'll have to change their wardrobe. There's people. We are people that build and create things, right? We can't just be spoon-fed everything. He wants us to seek and find. So do things like that. You can even have your children help you, like decorate it, put little stickers. Yeah, get involved. This is a form of evangelism, right? We have to be active, servants. We have to be doing the work. Some of us maybe don't want to talk because maybe there's a language barrier. Maybe you're really shy, or maybe where you live, you know that they're going to shun you or something. So this is another way we can still get the word out. I go to the beach often because my children like to go to the beach and ground themselves in the sand. They like to see feed the seagulls and stuff. There's a park there and I like to go too. And so when we're there, I always leave a little note underneath the rocks that I build up. And because that's all scriptural inspired. And when we do that, somebody will come. There's like where I live, there's a lot of elderly and stuff. They'll come there and they'll just sit, maybe they're widows and stuff, and they come, just to be calm, because the noise, the TV between the news and all these, the radio, what's on there, everything is noisy and it's a distraction. So to get out of that and to escape, right? And to just reflect on positive things, maybe to hear your own thoughts. It's okay to be out in nature. There's nothing wrong with it. Yahuwah created this earth. It's his footstool. And when you do those things, be inspired to leave a note. All right, family? But we can't judge people based on how they look. Sometimes people's countenance can look a certain way, and it won't even be what they really feel inside. I used to know there's a few people in school. They were always smiling, always happy. And then when I got to know them, I learned that they were really depressed. They were always depressed. They didn't have a good life at home and stuff like that. And they were just so happy that someone came to talk to them. And so sometimes when people see someone smiling all the time and happy, they might say, oh, they're not lonely, they're good. But that's not true, because you based your opinion or assumption based on their countenance or how they looked. You know how many people outside that we're quick to say are homeless, and we don't know if they're malaks sent to test us, and we just walk on right past them because we like, oh, they probably gonna use that money to buy some drugs. Nope, he look like he gonna be drunk if I give him this money. And so you're being judged for making assumptions against people that you don't even know, that can be innocent people that are being used. Maybe they're there at that specific appointed time for the purpose of you either planting a seed or helping them. Maybe Yahuwah is testing you to see if you're going to go out your way and help someone. Let's see what my servant's going to do before I give her a breakthrough. And many people block their blessings or delay their blessings, delay their breakthroughs behind things that they are doing, because they're quick to make assumptions and judge other people, and they're not even taking care of what they have to do. We have to be mindful of this. All right, family. So now we're going to be looking at Philippians chapter 2, verse number 3-4. And it says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. So family, this can be very broad and it can apply to almost anything, right? We have to make sure that we are looking after the interests of other people, also putting them before ourselves oftentimes, right? We have to be wise to make sure that we're not like on the scarcity end, but we know that when we are doing for others, that is pleasing to Yahuwah. So even if someone is, looking for help, assistance, maybe to be uplifted, it is our duty as servants, as so-called servants, to make sure that we are uplifting our brethren. We have to make sure that when someone needs us, whether it's financially, whether it's spiritually, whether it's, in a teaching way, whatever it is, that we're there for them. Because maybe Yahuwah is testing us when he does that. And if you are not able to give in one way, there is always another way we can give. And I need people to understand that, because a lot of people, and even recently, some people have expressed that, they wish they can give more. And so you are sufficient enough just reaching out and saying hello to people. You're sufficient enough when you are being genuine and pure-hearted to others, praying, interceding, and stuff like that. But when we take it upon ourselves to neglect others, then don't miss the part where we said, how you judge others, you will be judged. And whatever measure you give out, you will get back. So we have to understand that. Sometimes things come back to us because we are only righteous in our own eyes. So we have to be careful. All right? We wouldn't do that to Yahuwah. So why are we doing it to each other? Yeah. All right, family? He is our first love, and we love him with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength. But he He gave us a commandment. Actually, Yahushua HaMashiach himself gave us a commandment. And not everyone is doing that commandment. You can tell because of their actions, their fruits, that it is a false type of thing. So we have to just really be careful, because this is why some people, they have the potential of coming into the truth or maybe checking it out, and then they come across a lot of discord and strife, and then it kind of repels them away because they already have that in the world. We are supposed to be that light that shines, that doesn't look like the world. We're this new thing, right? We're this new thing, and we are to be the light. And we have to understand that. Don't ever dim your light for anything or anyone else. Let's look at 1 Corinthians 3:18. I know we were there earlier, but there is this other verse I wanted to read with you all. We are reading this together. Okay, I meditated on this, but these are sticking. These words are sticking, and I feel so good and so nourished. Praise Yahuwah. 1 Corinthians 3:18 says, do not deceive yourselves. Don't deceive yourselves. If you think you are wise by the standards of this age, you should become fools so that you may become wise. So we have to make sure that we have humility and that we seek wisdom. Because when we think we're already something, and, we end up not being what we thought. Like I said, Yahuwah is the only one that knows the heart and where it stands in its intentions. And, sadly, many of us, we don't really know each other, right? We just see each other through this screen. And hopefully someday we will see each other. But for now, people have been judging others that they don't even know. And it's sad, because it's not like a tangible thing to do. We can't, see each other, feel each other, hug, nothing. It's just this virtual type situation. So please don't make assumptions when you, are judging people and, even the other nations. Not everyone's like that, Not everyone's like what we have been conditioned to believe. And so the enemy, he did this on purpose. And this is why we are here today doing, going through what we're going through. We do have to be wise. We have to take care of ourselves and our nation first and foremost, because our nation is that apple of Yahuwah's eye. Our nation is the centerpiece. But the other nations are to know who Yahuwah are too, and they are to be grafted in if they accept him. And it's not up to you if you like that or not. It's the truth, and it's written, and it's going to happen. So we have to just be mindful of that. Ecclesiastes 7:16 family, it says, do not be over righteous, neither be over wise. Why destroy yourself? So leave room to learn and to, not be self-destructive. There's a scripture, too much wisdom brings much sorrow. Something like that. Actually, I'm going to look it up so that this way, whoever's watching that does take notes, you can have it too. And this is a oldie but goodie that I used to read all the time. Too much wisdom. There we go. And this is coming out of Ecclesiastes. Oh, okay. It's in Ecclesiastes. And what made that come into remembrance is because I felt like it was one of those books like Proverbs. And it says, for much wisdom comes with much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief. So when we act like we know everything and all this, it's just very grievous, because we know Yahuwah is all knowing, and we are his servants. We are taught by his Ruach Yahuwah, his Holy Spirit. His Ruach HaKodesh teaches us. And once we are taught, then we are sometimes, not everyone is a teacher, but once we know something, we are to share and spread it. That's what the Basora is all about. So once you see somebody sharing things, you can't be going against the grain, which is Yahuwah. You don't go against the grain. That's his vessel. do we think we are when we do these things? We have to just be mindful. And we have to make sure that when we do try to admonish people, we are making sure there ain't no plank in our own eye. And that when we admonish, we do it in love. Love, love, love. Love. Even before I knew the truth, I was always telling people, we gotta love, love. My nickname's Kiki, and I used to go by Kiki Love, Kiki Love. I used to tell people, love, love. And when people would ask why, I used to say, because I just want everyone to love. It was just so much hate, even with being in school. Like I said earlier, after that 9/11 happened, people was assuming that some of those people in their family did it to us and stuff, and they started acting crazy with these Afghanistan. I mean, we were in like what, 12th, 13th grade? 13th grade, yeah. Ouch. We were in like 12th grade. We were so young. And so when that happened, it hurt me. Because I'm like, wow, that's like, I didn't say like a word curse, but I'm like, wow, they're really forming bywords against these people. Just because other, radical groups related to them, related to their nation, did something, doesn't mean everybody's going to do that. And it's just like us. Just because some of our people are radical, don't mean everybody's radical. Just because some of our people are dark melanated, doesn't mean everybody's darkly melanated. Some people are not, and they're still our people. Why do we always divide and cause strife? Why can't we just love and let Yahuwah show you what it is when that appointed time comes? And we're going to end that. We're going to go right back to 1 Corinthians 4:5, because it's important, family. We have to leave things to him and don't take things upon ourselves, because there's a lot of false doctrine, false opinions, false assumptions going around. And people are wearing these titles that are so sadistic. People are being called all types of evil names just because of their skin and stuff. And the more people hear those things, it can penetrate and it can hurt and cause harm. We shouldn't have to go through that. It's a form of adult bullying, really. So I try to be separate from situations or places that do those things, family. And you all should too. You don't have to, no one forces you to stay somewhere that is going to keep you stagnant or that you won't grow in. Yahuwah doesn't want that for you. Remember, your soil has to be good, fertile soil in order for you to grow so that you can be a baraka to others and bear fruit. But if you're in a situation or an environment where there is some things that are preventing those roots from spreading and for you to grow, then that's not where you need to be. And you have to be willing to let it go. We can't just be staying to be somewhere that we're not going to be adequate and successful at growing. Remember, this is not about us. It's about other people. It's about his will, not ours. All right, family? Let's keep going. Family, it's a sin when we assume something is wrong just because it doesn't suit our preferences of how something is supposed to go or how it's supposed to be. Doesn't mean that it's wrong. What I'm saying is the way people teach, the way they share things. We are all different members, but there's one body. We all are different branches going different directions, but we are leading to the same place. When I say different directions, I'm not talking about anything other than the straight and narrow road. We're all heading on that straight path, but we are different members. You ever see the tree? We are not all doing the same assignment. So whatever your assignment is, it might be different than someone else's. And so let's not beat people down when they share something that Yahuwah has given them to share. Or let's not assume that someone is doing or is not doing something that they're supposed to be. Don't assume, because that's foolish. And when we are not truly knowing who each other are, because we are just on a virtual thing, it's foolish to assume you know what someone's doing in their home or in their personal lives. You don't know what people do. Yahuwah knows. And that's what I'm saying, family. We have to just make sure we don't do that. There is one truth, which is the vine of truth, Yahushua HaMashiach, right? And there is one Ruach HaKodesh. So how he uses his different members, that is up to him. All the people that was used in the scriptures are not the same. They had different personalities, they had different assignments, and they had different flaws. They weren't perfect people. We have to understand everyone is different. That's the bottom line. And Yahuwah loves us anyway. But just make sure that we are not doing things that he does not love. That's all I'm saying. Because he loved Moses, even though Moses had a slurred speech or something like that. But what he didn't love about Moses is when Moses got angry and didn't do what he told him to do. He doesn't like disobedience. And that's why Moses didn't get to go to the promised land. So if you are someone that's watching and maybe you're not the best at reading or talking or praying or whatever it is, Yahuwah loves you because he knows within your heart. But what he doesn't love are things like making assumptions or taking offense or wrongfully accusing people of doing something that they didn't do or that they did do. Or even hatred, all these things. That is what he doesn't love. He loves you. Doesn't matter if you big, skinny, tall, short, whatever skin color you have. He loves you. He's not paying attention to your imperfections in that type of way. What he's paying attention to is how you are not being obedient to what his word says. If he says don't do something and how you continue to do it, that's what he's focused on. And so we all need to make sure we are repenting and that we are keeping his commandments. And so if someone gets mad at a message that tells you that you have to repent and keep the commandments, then there is something wrong. It's a flesh issue, because only the flesh will have you mad at someone that's telling you that the written truth. That is a person that cares. Why are we so irritated, or that we assume when people do these things that we are coming in hate? And so here's another thing I just recollect. Thank you, Ruach HaKodesh. Thank you. I remember in the beginning of my my walk, when I was planting seeds in my sister, my real sister in real life. I have a sister and I have two brothers. And when I was planting seeds in my sister about Yahuwah, in the beginning, I was telling her, and as we all know, not everything seems like it's going to be good. It's going to be terrible, family. That's the part of the end time. So I'm telling her specifically certain things that we need to do, or this way happen and stuff. And I'm telling her the truth. And she told me, wow, you're being really dark. I'm like, it's not me. It's what the word says. And I'm teaching you. And so she ended up not waking up at that specific time because she wasn't planted in that soil ground to receive the truth. And so there are going to be people that, because there's something inwardly wrong, maybe they have bitterness of something they're dealing with, maybe they have something that they're battling in their flesh, they're not going to be receptive of the truth that you're sharing, and they're going to take offense to it, and they're going to feel conviction. But as I always say, even for myself, when you feel convicted about something, it's because Yahuwah wants to correct you. He chastises those he loves. And why are we not okay with that? That's a beautiful thing. Your parents did the same with you. They didn't beat you just because they didn't love you. I mean, I could only speak for the majority, because I know there's some wicked things out there. But for the most part, you were in trouble because you did something you wasn't supposed to do. And so your parents was teaching you a lesson. They weren't sparing that rod of correction. And so we are also supposed to make sure that we are not going against the grain, which when we receive a word, that we don't take offense to that word. Because now you're rejecting the Ruach. You're quenching the Ruach. We have to be mindful of that. We have to accept what is being said. There's always going to be one or two people that go and it's like tit for tat. We have to stop doing that. Yahuwah is watching what we're doing. And when something is not meant for you, if you feel like you have to be critical, you can keep it moving. You don't have to react negatively to every single situation. We don't have to do that. We are all different. You don't have to stay places that you feel like this. You understand, family? This is a come as you go thing. You're not forced to stay anywhere. You're not being manipulated to accept anything. These scriptures are freely given to all of us in his written books. These are his books, right? The books of the prophets, all these books, the Torah, and anyone can read this and find it. But I'm bringing these into remembrance. These are specific ones related to what we're talking about. Please meditate on these, family. I do have 4 more scriptures that we're going to end with, and that is all. And Yahuwah willing, tomorrow I will come back with another video. I'm not even sure which one I'm going to do. I'm going to pray over it because there's so much. And so I have to just see what he wants me to share. All right, family? Because like I said, we are in a time where things have to be right on time. This is his will. He's doing these things. So we have to make sure that we are praying before we move and say things and share things, because we don't want to be in error. Okay? All right, family. 1 John 4:20-21 tells us that if we claim we love Yahuwah but hate our brother, we are a liar. We know that lying is one of the 10 commandments that he says don't do, right? He says don't bear false witness against your neighbor or your brother or sister. And he says do not, he tells us don't lie, because Yah-Hashatan is the father of lies. So people that engage in this type of way, they are showing traits that correspond to who our true enemy is. So we have to be mindful of, make sure we put these things off. All right, let's look at 1 Thessalonians. And this is going to be chapter 4 and verse 6-7, family. One second, I'm just opening it up. And it says here, and that is in the matter, no one should wrong or take advantage of their brother or sister. Yahuwah will punish all those who commit such sins, as we told you and warned you before. For Yahuwah did not call us to be impure, but to live a life that is holy. So we have to be holy. Why? Because he is holy. We're his children. He chose us. So we have to make sure we are being the light, because he is the light. We have to make sure that we are holy because he is holy. We have to be loving because he is loving. It's really straightforward, but we have to constantly meditate on these things, because it's easy when we're in the flesh to make mistakes. We are not perfect. That's the whole point. But we have to every day crucify our flesh. Every single day, crucify our flesh. There's no need for us to be crucified, because Yahushua HaMashiach has already fulfilled that for us. He is the perfect sacrifice. He is the Lamb of Yahuwah. But we have to make sure that we crucify our flesh as a recognition of what he's done, so that we are denying ourselves to pick up our cross, right? You want to pick up that stake and you want to follow the way he told us to follow. He didn't tell us to do any of these things. He never said make assumptions against people. If you don't know if it's true or not, just do it anyway. He never said nothing like that. He is not like that. He is a pure person that was dwelling amongst us, and he had to go. And so now we're here, and some of us are fighting a battle that we think is the true enemy. But to be honest, a lot of it is your flesh. A lot of it is. And that's the part that, it might sting you a little bit. And this is why I keep saying we got to examine ourselves. Purge all the time. Purge the body, purge the mind. If you got to go through your house and throw things out that you think might be a foothold in your life, do it. You have to do it, family. We have to do whatever it is to do, because we are all susceptible to sin, being in flesh. And I don't know who would even think somebody would think they wasn't, because that would be a lie. We are all sinners. We are all sinners. And that is the truth. You know, your past is a sinner. Your mother, your father, your children, everybody does. This is the nature of a human being. But we have the opportunity to deny ourselves. Mothers has the opportunity to teach their children the way they should go, so that when they're older, they don't depart from it. Fathers have the opportunity to be the example of what a man should be, providing for their family, because that is who provides for us, our Father, right? You guys are in his image, my brothers. We all have to make sure that we are looking like we are of Yahuwah, so that they can distinguish us between the true enemy and the true sons and daughters of the Most High Elohim. Okay? Let's look at 1 John 2:9-11, and it says, anyone who claims to be in the light but hates his brother or sister is still in the darkness. Anyone who loves their brother and sister lives in the light, and there is nothing in them to make them stumble. But anyone who hates a brother and sister or sister is in the darkness and walks around in the darkness. They do not know where they are going, because the darkness has blinded them. Don't allow some of these things you haven't put off to blind your sight. Or maybe it is that plank in your eye in which you cannot see clearly. We have to take these things out. We have to put these things off so that we are in the light, so that we see clearly where we're going and who we are supposed to be being like. And that is Yahushua HaMashiach. He is the only one we have saw back then. And when I say we, I mean our ancestors saw him in the flesh. Yahuwah is Ruach. They saw Yahushua HaMashiach, and we're supposed to be like him. We are his disciples. Okay, family? Family, it's very straightforward. Beautiful, beautiful scripture. All right? We have to love our brothers and sisters. We have to love them the way we want them to love us. And many of us, we get offended when somebody acts a certain way towards us, which you have every right to be. But if you are doing the same thing or worse, you're not being truthful. It's hypocritical. You don't hate people that look out and take care of you, or that, plant seeds of hope and love, or pray for you. That's so messed up, family. Why we do this to each other? We can't allow Hashatan to really infiltrate that much to where he's winning and we're letting down our Abba. That's terrible. And it's so heartbreaking when I sit back sometimes and I feel or see what's going on. And it's like people assume things, but sometimes their assumptions, they could say the same for themselves, but they don't, because people are hypocrites. They said he was bad. He was evil because of what he was doing, how he was helping people. It's like you can't even do nothing right. What type of people? You help them, right? You heal them, you give to them over and over again, even though you barely have it for yourself. And then they do things to hurt you. That's not nice, family. And even though Yahusha, he was in the flesh and, he wasn't given like money or nothing, but he was performing miracles that were truly healing people. And they still was pointing fingers at him, these Pharisees and Sadducees. I can't. I know I'm reading something and I wasn't there, but like the feeling that I get inside, it makes me want to cry. I wish I can hug him and say, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Because in real life, it is no different. There are people that is really hurting their brothers and sisters, their families, other people. But why? It hurts what our ancestors went through with these other nations, these colonizers. It hurts. But the truth is, there are many people that, even though they are from those nations, they're not like that. some of them are going to be helping us during this tribulation. A lot of them are going to be cleaving to us because it's Yahuwah's will for them to. And if they haven't already, they will during the tribulation. They're going to be grafted in, family. That's Yahuwah's will. And we know he hardens hearts and he unhardens them too. We know he has the ability and the control and the authority and the sovereignty to do all things. We are nothing. We cannot do anything without him. So we have to make sure that we are doing things that just pleases him so that we don't have to worry about his wrath, because it's terrible. And only people that are rebellious, the stiff-necked, rebellious people, they are going to have to be a part of his wrath, and not a good way. We have to cry out to him and ask him, change me, Father, transform me, renew my mind, my heart, my soul. Forgive me for anything that I may have done against you or against my brethren. Remove anything that is not of you from me, from my family, from my home, from everything. Wherever anything is, you have to be away from anything that is still in darkness, because then you will be lost. You won't know where you're going. You might think you're going on that straight and narrow path because your flesh is pleasured. Your flesh is relieved because you are moving based on what the flesh tells you to do, because it feels good to get these things out, right? And to be, I feel so much better now that I told this person off. But this is wrong. The flesh will have you so confused because it's attached to you. It's the only thing that is attached to you and your spirit. It's very thin. So denying yourself daily is the only thing that is going to ensure that we are aligning ourselves with Yahuwah. And denying ourselves all things. Anything, family. Anything that you think is a stumbling block. Sometimes you have to ask him to show you what it is. And pay attention and wait until he shows you or tells you or has someone else reveal to you what certain things are. And you test those spirits. Because Yahuwah wouldn't have you hurting your brothers and sisters. He would have you being humble. He doesn't want you to be self-destructive over yourself either. He would want you to love yourself. But he wants you to seek humility and to be humble to him, but bold in appointed times. You have to be bold and you have to know your authority. But that there's a time for that. There's a season in Ecclesiastes 3:3. There's a season for joy and there's a season for sorrow. There's a season for dancing and there's a season for crying. It doesn't matter. We have to just make sure that we are being led by him when he wants us to be led. We don't do certain things to people not knowing what they're going through, right? That would be the enemy telling you to do those things to kick them while they're already down. But we shouldn't do that. Pay attention to, the people that are blessings to you in your life when you needed it the most. And how they are for you. Never assume, because there's these rich people, these celebrities and stuff that we know who they serve. But if you're not in the truth, you might think, oh, they're so nice, they're so kind, I got their autograph. Meanwhile, half of them are miserable because they have to do whatever it is they're doing in order to fulfill whatever contracts, right, that in which they sold their soul. And so they look like they're happy. They look like they're living the best life. And then you end up sometimes finding out those people are the most saddest and miserable people there is. Half of them are, they do a lot of different bad things. And I'm not saying you have to pray for them, but you have to pray that everybody that truly is of Yahuwah, because your name has to be written in that book of life. And so whoever is his, We pray that they repent and they come back to him. And there's a lot of even our people in these industries that we have to pray for. A lot of them we have to pray for. We can't be like, oh, it's too late for them. Oh, yeah, they can't be saved. And we can't say things like that because you are making assumptions again, like you're God or like you're Yahuwah, like you're a God and you're not. We have to stop saying things that we're not sure of because that makes us foolish. We have to read here a little, there a little, the lines upon the lines and the different precepts upon the different precepts. And then you have to allow the Ruach HaKodesh to teach you. That's what we have to do. All right, family. So this was the first day of part 2, put on, put off. And we are putting off making assumptions. Okay, family? And we're going to put on the truth. The proof, rather. Okay? So thank you all for watching. I will see you all tomorrow, Yahuwah willing. Please stay safe out there, family. I love you all. Shalom.